All right, I am officially beginning my first road trip as a card counter. I've taken trips before, never really any road trips. I am headed out to Biloxi, Mississippi. About a 5 hour getting there around 4 p.m., which would be great. It'll be just in time to check into my hotel. Luckily, and hopefully I'll be able to take a nap, get up, then go play. Um, Worked till about 3 a.m., got home, packed. So, cars filled up, directions are put in, music and podcasts are on the playlist. We said our prayer for the great Almighty to cover us on this trip. So the only thing left to do is get started. Nice, spacious room, decent sized TV, coffee maker, refrigerator. I'm supposed to have a microwave, but I don't, but I'm not gonna press it too much. Nice view. I can see the Golden Nugget with a little bit of Ferris wheel and a nice water view. So all in all, pretty decent room, especially considering it was 100% free. Alright, we officially suited up. Got the lucky bag, some shades, and a little hoodie, something to make myself look more like a gambling vacationer. Trying to plan of attack right now. Let's just go out and scout the tables. I don't have any bet spread set up or anything like that. I really just want to see how good and or bet the games are. Heard mixed reviews, so I'm gonna fill it out first. This first video is nothing special. I can tell by the fact that I'm only betting $50 that the count isn't that high. So I want to just go ahead and start off by just telling you all, one, I appreciate you being here, but basically how card counting works. What card counting is you're basically keeping track of the cards that have been played. That way you know what is theoretically and probability likely to come. You do this by assigning values to the cards. You do 2 through 6 as +1. 6, 7, and 8 as neutral cards, meaning +0, and then all your face cards and your aces, that's your 10, Jack, King, Queen, Ace, as -1. This is called the high-low count, which is a balanced count, which means if you deal all the cards at the end of the shoe, you will hit a 0. So yeah, that's what I'll be using throughout this card counting excursion. All right, in this next clip, you can see me placing 2 hands of $200. And with this, on this first hand, I get a 9 and then a 4. That leaves me with a 13 versus the dealer's 6. I stand on my 13, decide to split my 10s, which is profitable at a true 4. When I split those 10s up, I get a 4 on my first hand, for which I stay, and then I get a 2 on my second one. The dealer pulls a 5, a 2, and then pulls a 10 to bust. So that is always great when you see the dealer bust, because now that means that I have just won $200 on each hand for a total of $600 profit. So I just got backed off from Crazy Enough, the hotel I was staying in. So I did a quick little disguise change. So I went from wearing all white to wearing a brown, orange kind of ordeal. Threw some fake shades on, put an earring in. I got a beanie on to cover my hair. I have my collar half up to help cover the hair. I'm hoping that it makes me look decently enough different. I'm not sure if I'll change my voice or anything like that, but that's the approach. We had a fairly decent couple of sessions, mostly the high limit. I knew I was pushing it. I was going from table minimum of $50 to about $500 a hand. And on top of that, I was winning those $500 hands, which is always great for me. But as for longevity, not always the best when you lose $50 and then all of a sudden you jump up to $500 and you win $400 or $500 in a row. The only part that sucked is I got backed off in the middle of a high count. Count was like a true 8 or 9, and they backed me off by name. I wasn't trying to play rated, but they had like a little multiplier going on, so I played rated to get the little free points to make sure I could keep the comp rooms. So
in 800 feet, turn left onto Back Bay Boulevard.
So because of that, they already had my name in the system. So
at the light, turn left onto Back Bay Boulevard.
I'm expecting there to be some type of bolo or flyer with me, which is what I'm changing. I got a buttload of clothes and different disguises in the car with me, so that way if they pick me off here,
Back Bay Boulevard
I can change clothes in the car on my way to the next spot. Expecting to do a lot of hit and run. I was supposed to do hit and runs here, but I was like, you know what, let me just grind it out and see what I can get. The threatened 86 means I probably won't go back until my last day, and that's just because, you know, I'm staying there. It's kind of hard to sleep somewhere where you're legally not supposed to be there. So, you know, off to the next casino. Alright, so we start this clip off in the middle of a hand. I can't exactly remember what I had, but it doesn't matter because as you can see, the dealer pulls a 15, a little satire from the dealer before he then proceeds to bust out. As you've seen, I had a 16 on that hand, so I had a total of $450 out there. The dealer paid me 5 black, takes $50 back, which still equals a net profit. I didn't lose any money. He just made it easier and gave out less chips. All right. Following that hand, as you can hear me annotate to myself, sitting at a true 7. Well, with this true 7, I get dealt 2 cards, and of course, you know, I get a pair of 10s versus a dealer 6. Like I said, true 4 is the magic number, we're at a true 7, so we split them up. We'll try it. See what we can get. Alright, so once we split them, my count has dropped by 1, which is why you see me pausing. I want to make sure my count is accurate. I get another 10, which now that means my count went from a true 7 to a true 5. Still above a true 4, but I was slowing down because I wanted to make sure I calculated everything correct. And then, of course, I proceed to split them once again. Alright, when I split them again, I get a 7 on my first hand, a 6 on my second hand, and then again another 10. So when I split those one more time, I now have a total of, oh, excuse me, it's not $450 out there, it's $650 out there. My apologies, I forgot I had up my bet with the true 7. So that is $650 by 4 hands, which is a total of $2,600 out there all at once. This was a little brutal. $2,600 is no sweat, but it is part of the game. When I split these up one more time, I get a ace, which there is a deviation, but the count had dropped, so it did not count. And then I get another high value card. The dealer turns over a 5 for 11 and then proceeds to pull a 7 for 18. That is probably one of the best scenarios because with a decent high count, when the dealer pulls 11, you just know that they're going to pull that 10 for their 21 and lose, or have you lose everything. Luckily, that didn't happen. I won 2 hands, I lost 2 hands, which equaled a net push, which I didn't win anything, didn't lose anything. But my 17 and my 16 lost, and my 21 and we'll just say it was a 19 or a 20 beat the dealer. So lucky for me, I pushed and didn't lose any money. Now, at this point, I was not backed off, but I could definitely feel the heat. As you came and seen, there was a lot of pit movement, and there was a lot of people moving around in the background trying to figure out what was going on. And I know it'd be very suspicious for me to go from, you know, splitting 10s at $650, dropping all the way back down to the table minimum of $15. That is typically how card counters are counted or caught because they're going from very, very low to very, very high, and it looks off. So when that happened, I decided to quickly hightail it out of there
and go next door. And then we run into this.
What's your first and last name? First and last name? Yes, sir. You don't have to give it to me, but just so that way we have on record that we spent it. Don't worry about it. I appreciate it.
Have a good day, sir. I ain't even make it to the door. Y'all waiting on me, huh?
It happens like that, okay? I get it. I appreciate it. You have a good one, Mr. Jason. Okay. So it is very clear that I am flyered. Kid you not, I didn't even make it through the door, and they were sitting there waiting for me. Granted, they have the wrong name, don't care, but the fact that they were waiting for me, crazy. Alright, so I just had probably the craziest thing happen to me ever. I just went to the gate and tried to get in. As soon as I get there, they say, "Hey, do you have your ID?" You know, seems standard. However, I'm like, I left it in the car. I can go grab it real fast. There's 2 people waiting on me, 2 managers, and shit you not, they say, "Hey, real fast. I'm the manager. I'm the other manager. You're not allowed to play here. Do not come back on property." I was like, that's kind of odd. And the other one goes, "Hey, just as a formality, you might give us your first and last name so that way I can say that I spoke to you." I was like, "Nah, I'm probably not gonna give it to you." They're like, "All right, well, no worries. See you later, Mr. Insert fake name alias." So the fact that my alias is more popular than my actual name, mind blowing. The fact that they were waiting for me at the door, mind blowing. The fact that I changed my attire, not a lot, but still nonetheless changed it, and they were able to say, "Nope, that's him." Mind blowing. Unfortunately, that may mean that my time here is done. We'll see. I'll probably try one more other place because I've never been here. Granted, it's literally right next door to the one I just left from, but I've never been here, and they were already there. So I'm expecting a lot of them to be sharp. So we'll see how it goes. May call it a night and get an early start first thing in the morning. Maybe my name's cooled down. So we'll see.
It was very clear that they were waiting for me. My name was definitely out there. I was clearly flyered. And as you may be able to hear, they have my fake name. I always give a fake name instead of my real name, and they had my fake name on file with clearly a picture of myself, which is why I was stopped at the gate. I decided to try to hit a few more other casinos for the night. After maybe 1 or 2 quick back offs, I decided it was better to leave and just call it a night because I didn't want to burn down every place. So that way, when I tried to go back in the next day, they already saw me and knew who I was. So I decided to just pack it up and call it a night. While card counting is profitable, it is not all sunshines and rainbows. As you can see, I have 2 hands of about $425. I busted on my first one, which I lost. I have a 17 versus a dealer 10. Of course, I stayed, but didn't really do any good when the dealer turned over a 20. That means just like that, I had lost $850. And if you think that's bad, this next hand only gets worse. I had just lost some money, had to rebuy for another $500. The count was still relatively high. So again, you see me out there with the 2x425. Of course, the dealer busts. The dealer turns over a 4 card. I stand on my first hand and get a pair of 10s. Well, with these 10s, versus against a 4, you would split at a true 6. So here I am pulling out a little bit more cash to rebuy so that I can split my 10s. After my rebuy, I split them up, give the dealer the sign, and as you will see, what do I get? That's right, another 10. So again, here I am pulling out more cash to split my 10s one more time. And if you're wanting to keep count, that is now $1,700 on the table.
lose this, I'm running because I'm getting killed. Alright, let's put him up.
All right, so can't see what I get on my first hand, but on my second hand I get a 9, and then on my third hand I get another 10, which means lo and behold, here we are buying in once more so that I can split those 10s one more time. So I'm currently at 22,150. I get an ace, which is always good, followed by a 6. The dealer had a 10 under and then proceeded to pull a 6 for 20. That means I won one hand and lost my other 4. In case you're wondering, that is a net loss of about $1,200. Right after that play, not too long after, I had came and the pit bulls came up to me, or casino manager came up to me, asked for my ID. I expressed that I already had my ID checked, so that was good enough and my age was good. She's asked me for my name. Of course, I gave her my alias. And when I gave her my alias, she goes, "Oh," and then she says the last name of my alias. When she does that, I was like, whoa. She quickly explains to me that I'm no longer able to play blackjack there, and that they gave the other casino from earlier in the day gave my information. Now, that session was in total about 3 hours long, and I, at one point, was down roughly $5,000-$6,000. Definitely not great. There was a lot of high counts that just didn't go my way. A lot of big action. I was losing my doubles. I was losing my splits. But I sat there, kept grinding it out, and I ended up that session being down minus $777. By no means is that great, but considering I was down almost $7,000 and I took it down to 700, I'm not going to complain. Shortly after that, I headed to the casino where I had received the push on my 10s. As you are joining me with a max bet of $625, I have a 12 versus a dealer 5. Not too happy about it, but doesn't really matter when the dealer decides to bust. That was always great. That is another $625 in my pocket.
I said we let it ride. What you think?
The count is still up there, so I decide to restack all my chips and again leave my max bet out there. You can hear me do a little banter about letting it ride and trying to justify why I'm betting so big. Of course, I get a 16 versus a dealer 9. With this true count of 4 or higher, you would stand. Luckily for me, I stayed and the dealer busted. Again, another 625 in my pocket.
Only 625? Let it ride one more time.
The count is still up there, so I get back to it. Here I have a soft 17. I take a hit and receive an 8. That gives me a 15. I'm currently up against a dealer 8. You would stand on this hand at a true 10, and I am currently at a true 9. So what you're seeing is me thinking to see if the count is there or not. Should I stand? Should I hit? In the end, I decided to take a hit, and I receive a 4, which gave me a total of 19. I was happy about that because under the dealer's 8, they had a 6. Had I stayed, they would have pulled that 4 and 1, but instead they pulled a 10 and busted.
Not a 6-1. 6, go ahead.
Now they have a dealer swap. I decided to restack my bets. As you'll see, the dealer's kind of stalling. Not exactly sure why, but because it feels like they were stalling, I definitely tried to speed up as fast as possible and really push those bets.
See a 10. Love to see a 10. 10's amazing.
After the dealer resets his rack, does a couple stretches, burns a card, I'm sitting at a true 10, and you see he decides to spark up some conversation.
Don't remember how many casino you went to yourself?
A couple of them. Yeah.
It is clear he can't slow down anymore, and I receive a 20 versus his up 5. I know my time is short, so I decide to go ahead and split them up.
Would you do this on a normal circumstance?
With the bus card? Yeah.
With other players?
Huh?
With other players at the table?
With other players, probably not.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
Oh. Because I'm by myself, you know, I feel a bit more bold.
So as you just heard, the dealer asked when I typically do that. I feel as if he might be on to me, so I decide to go ahead and push it. I get a 9 on my first one, and I can't see what I have on my second hand. Doesn't matter. The dealer turns over their whole card and then proceeds to bust after taking a card. Now, once he breaks down my money, I can see that my time is short. So I quickly, rather than trying to restack my chips and make sure everything's accurate, I pay close attention to make sure he pays me out correctly, take all my chips down, and then just bet with the biggest chips I have to get it out as quick as possible. In counting, in Blackjack, the second that first card is dealt, it automatically counts and is a contract, and the dealer and the casino have to let you finish the hand. This is very important because shortly after starting the hand, someone walks up to me, and if you listen closely, you'll hear them in our altercation.
That's too much to not take insurance. Hold on.
I received 13 versus dealer ace. For those of you who know, if you have an ace or higher, or excuse me, if the dealer has an ace, you take an insurance at a true 3 or higher. It doesn't matter what you have. You could have a 3, you can have a 5, you can have 20. You only take insurance at a true 3 or higher. The dealer was a little bit confused as to why I was insuring a 13. I try to push it off as, hey, I have too much money not to. And lo and behold, dealer has Blackjack.
You done?
I'm done?
Yep.
All right.
You're also trespassing property. You're out here on Halloween Casino. You should have to come into the indoor premises. You got the right to be arrested.
All right. Can I ask why?
And contact upper management and let you know.
How will I get in contact with upper management?
Call.
Who would I call?
Boomtown Casino, Hollywood Casino.
Did I do something wrong? I mean, I feel like you're being very hostile. I'm just playing the game. It's not like I'm doing, like...
All right. Traditionally, after getting backed off for trespass, it's best to just keep quiet and leave. But in this case, the security lady who came up was being very hostile and very aggressive. I'm not exactly sure why, but I also really don't care because that session, although only 20 minutes long, I won over $3,500. So she can be as mad as she wants, long as you pay me. I'm going to skip the session where I run to the casino and I have to, when I run to the cash desk and have to deal with them. That's not really important. What matters is I got my money and I was off.
Just beat him and got trespassed. What do you say? You say Boomtown. Boomtown. All right, gotta go. All right, so after logging a couple of wins, I started getting backed off pretty heavy no matter where I go. They're backing me off by name, very few. So, I decided, why not take a break? Let's hit the beach. Sit here and enjoy the water. Live life for a little bit. Put your toes in the sand. It's great. It's one of the upsides of being able to count. When you win, you get to come out and do some stuff like this, worry free. I just can't really complain. Granted, it's cold as frick. Look, a beach to myself, money in my pocket, and what can I say? Life is good.
So after that, as you can see, I did a little trash talk outside of the casino. Um, then I decided to go and take a nice little intermission at the beach, enjoy myself. I did play a few more casinos after that one, but none of them were really worth it. It was very clear that my face was all over the town. No matter where I went, I was not getting sessions longer than 10 minutes. They were waiting for me at the door. They were waiting for me as soon as I sat down. It was very clear that they were waiting for me. Nevertheless, I was able to hit a couple more casinos, extract a little bit more EV and a little bit more AV. And that leads us now to the team graph. I did just say team graph. I guess now will be a good time to tell you all that I took this trip with another card counter. And this card counter, together we played a total of 23 hours, earning just over $20,000, making our actual value about $861 an hour. Now, while that is great, please understand this is not always how your card counting trips go. Just as they can be up, sometimes they can be down, or sometimes you can be right at EV. If you look at this chart, the yellow line is where we actually were. And this little bluish line, that's where we were projected to be. As you can see, we made about at least 16,000 more than we were projected to. Now, as for my individual graph, I played roughly 12 of those 23 hours and made 11 out of that 20,000. So my AV alone was roughly $950. Now, granted, it is a team effort because had I been down and he'd been up or vice versa, it definitely would have been good to balance out my wins with his losses or his losses with my wins. All in all, it was definitely a really, really good trip, especially considering I was not thinking I was going to get that much time. And it would have been absolutely brutal to make that 5-6 hour drive there and back losing money. I was very happy, very excited. I was able to change my attire a little bit, throw off the casinos, had a real blast. So card counting is definitely a fun hobby, something that I truly enjoy and hope to do a lot more of. If you're interested in card counting, definitely look into it, but please know it is not for everybody. And if you think it may be for you, I will definitely have more videos explaining in depth how card counting works, when you should and shouldn't count cards, and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for more videos.